Good morning, Facebook. Hi, this is Adam Ashba, president of Ashmont Realty and instructor at Hondros College. And today we're going to be talking about let's make a deal. All right. 7 things you can negotiate when buying a home, when you're paying beyond the asking price. So we're going to cover that today, and we're going to take a short moment of silence for in remembrance of 9/11. Obviously, we all know it's been 20 years, hence the backdrop. So today's September 10th, 2021. And we just want to say we never forget. So let's go ahead and we're going to dive into things that you can negotiate when buying a house. It was a great article on realtor.com that I want to cover. Some things I agree with, some things don't. So we're going to cover it right after this. Well, welcome to Ashmont Live, everybody, exclusively on Facebook. And I found a really good article, and I'm going to share that now. This was on realtor.com, and it was, let's jump back into here. Okay. Let's make a deal. 7 things you can negotiate when you're buying a home beyond asking price. So we're gonna cover that now. This was an article that was written by Lauren Seibin, and give full credit to her. And we're gonna go ahead and discuss that now. So the first number one was, and this is for people who, and because we all know in this environment, it's definitely a seller's market, right? So it's a little tough to negotiate. But if you're paying above and beyond what the seller's asking for in a contract, I'm a firm believer of fair business. It doesn't help when one person's taking advantage of another. That's just not a good business transaction. So some of the ideology is it's give and take. Yeah. Pull, push, whatever. So, and I think if you're paying above and beyond what someone's wanting for a home, maybe sometimes you can get away with asking for maybe a little extra sometimes. And that's what we're going to cover. So the first one that was on the list was repairs. Now, this is obviously very common in any real estate transaction. It doesn't matter if it's hot like it is now, seller hot, not buyer hot, or this was completely inverse 10, 12 years ago when we had the market crash in 2009. But but repairs, when someone buys a home, obviously you're going to do an inspection. Now, we see this all the time, which I 100% disagree with, is a lot of realtors are waiving inspections. So buyers, if you're buying a home, don't waive your right to inspect. I don't care if that home's brand new. Now, I do agree with, you go and inspect the home, and obviously no home, even a brand new one, is not going to be perfect. But, so you're not going to ask, I've had everything from, can you put new weather stripping around the door and things like that. We're not asking for those things, but at least reserve the right to have an inspector. It's $400, guys, $400 to have an inspector to come out and take a look at the property. Now, if there's something wrong and there's something drastically wrong, I don't care if it's the hottest market in the world right now for sellers. If there's repairs, major repairs that need to be had, you can ask for those. Okay. All right. So that's number one. Number 2, time to close. Now, what's this mean? Now, in every real estate contract, buyers out there, when you go buy a house, there's obviously a move-in date or a deadline or what we call possession, right? So possession date basically means not when you close, because sometimes I've seen it where you go to the title company and you sign all those papers and you physically don't get your keys for 2 or 3 months. I've seen that happen. So the old owner is living in your house for a month or 2, right? Typical possession dates are either immediate, meaning the day you go in and sign your paperwork, you get the keys and you move right in. Sometimes 3 to 5 days. Some areas in Ohio especially is 30 days, which that seems crazy to me. But which again means 30 days from the day you sign your paperwork when you're official owner that you're not moving in for 30 days. So they're living in your house free and clear. So, but that can, play with that a little bit. Find out, if you're the buyer, ask your agent, hey, agent, when is a good time? When does the person need to be out? We notice they're living there. Do they need more than 30 days to get moved out? We're flexible. If you're a buyer that's flexible, ask your agent to ask, the seller, do you want to live there for another 2 or 3 months before you find suitable housing? One thing you can do, we're not going to cover it today, is called rent back, which means you literally can buy the home and the old owner live in your home. All right. If that makes sense, you're buying the home, so you're the new owner. The old owner is going to continue living in that home for a period of time, and they're going to rent it from you, almost like a tenant. Okay, and that's called rent back. We're not going to talk about that today, but that's an option. If that maybe bridges the gap to get a deal done, then use that to your advantage. All right. Number 3, closing costs. Now, this is tricky. I disagree with this a little bit. Okay. 10 years ago, you could get away with this. Closing costs are basically the costs associated with doing your loan. Okay. When you go to get a bank, when you get a loan to go to a bank, you're going to, when you ask for the loan, they're going to charge you some sort of processing fees to get your loan, right? I mean, that's how all banks have huge buildings, just like in the backdrop behind me. New York City has hundreds of skyscrapers that are in the financial district. Obviously, that money comes from somewhere, right? So one thing a buyer can do is they can ask the seller basically for some credits, meaning a typical loan maybe is $2,000 to $3,000 on fees to process, give or take. Don't quote me on that, but it could be a little more, a little less. And you can go to the seller and say, hey, seller, would you help cover my fees? Now, the problem is this, that sounds great in this article. However, it's not really practical at this point in time. So let's scroll down. Oop, right here. Yeah. Closing costs. This one says between 2 and 7%. That seems pretty high to me. That is not typical in our market, but that's what it's saying. Just saying, listen, would you help me cover my costs that I'm going to be associated with, when I purchase this home? That doesn't really fly right now. It just doesn't. So I would be very careful, going that direction. Okay. All right. Number 4 is decor. Decor could be chandeliers, furniture, you name it. Now, one thing you want to be careful with this when you do decor is you want to have your agent write a separate bill of sale. We're not going to cover that today. If you have any questions, please put a comment below. I'm happy to answer those for you. But sometimes we get this a lot is if you have a property that has a large yard and the old owner is moving into a condo and they have a really nice riding tractor mower. Now, obviously, it would be great to have those because zero-turn mowers are very expensive. And, that would be a nice thing you wouldn't have to worry about buying. And the old owner might not need it anyhow because they're moving into a condo. But the problem is if the bank sees that on the contract, they're going to say, listen, buyer, we're not financing lawn equipment. We're not financing chandeliers. We're not financing a pool table, a hot tub, and things like that. So they're going to say no. They're going to have a huge issue. I had a deal one time that in the contract had it said surround sound system speakers. And I had to physically go out to the property and take pictures of these surround sound speakers. Now, these surround sound speakers were something you probably would buy at Walmart for $180. But, they were not going to allow that deal to go through because they were, I think, in their mind picturing this huge speaker surround sound system. So, but if you want decor, you can ask for it. Don't feel bad. Fridges, bars, hot tubs, things like that. But you can ask for those, and that might do the seller a favor, so they don't have to get rid of it or sell it. But you want to make sure you do a bill of sale on personal items. Number 5, home cleaning. This is kind of typical, though, especially in luxury real estate. When you purchase a home, to move is super dirty. And, so nothing's worse and disheartening when a buyer walks into their new dream home and it's dirty. So one thing I tell, that, we could put in the contract, because, house cleaning is $300 ish, depending on the size of the house, but you could put that in there. Or most buyers just have it done anyhow. But, that's something to think about, is you can ask to have the house cleaned. All right. Number 6 is home warranty. This is pretty typical. A home warranty, in layman's terms, is basically, think of it like insurance on a car, bumper to bumper. It's usually good for 1 year. It's around $600, give or take. Okay. And basically during the first year that the buyer moves in, if something breaks, they'll fix it free of charge. Now there usually is like a little, like a copay or something, trip charge, like $50-$60 for them to go out to take a look at the issue or whatever. But that's kind of a insurance policy for the buyer that once they move in this house, that they don't have to worry about repairs for the first year. And that's going to cover furnace, hot water tank, plumbing, your basics for sure. Doesn't cover everything. And I can tell you from personal experience, they do find loopholes not to cover something. But it's something to ask for. Okay. Now, I know this was 7 things that you can do to negotiate. The last one, which made no sense, was just your expenses. So let's talk about that. And I didn't even add that to the list because I didn't think it justified. It was your expenses. Listen, when you buy a home, it's very expensive. Not just buying a house as in down payment and things, but moving costs, cleaning, packing. There's a lot of expense into moving and buying a home. I do disagree with number 7, and that's why I didn't even add it on my list. But you can't expect a seller to cover your moving costs. I don't think I've ever seen that happen. And so I didn't add it to the list because I just think that's not even practical. And I don't go down that road because I think any seller would laugh about that. It would probably just insult them because they're going to say, well, who's paying for mine? So maybe a company will, maybe they won't. So with that being said, that is 7 things you possibly, depending on the market, right, can negotiate when buying a home. Right now, you want to be careful. It's definitely a seller's market. Things are cooling off a little bit statistically, and but it won't be like this forever. So I hope that helps you all if you're in the market or buying a home. Happy Friday, everybody. September 11th tomorrow. We wish all those families that were affected by that peace. It's been 20 years, but it feels like yesterday. So have a great weekend, everybody. Again, this is Adam Ashba, president of Ashmont Realty and instructor over at Hondros College. If you have any questions about real estate or becoming a realtor, let me know. I'm happy to answer those questions for you. Other than that, have a great weekend, everybody, and talk to you soon.